And today my adventure begins right here on the back roads of South Carolina, far off the interstate. It's going to be an awesome day, and we're starting it off in a good way because look at this awesome little old general store that I just run across. And I'm telling you, we are out here in the countryside. There is some bugs today. It's already warming up quite nicely. It's about 77 degrees here at 9 a.m. in the morning. Good morning, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. Hitch, hiking, Yeti here. Have my coffee in hand. Cheers. It's going to be an awesome day. We're going to go check out some little small towns tucked away in some of these little farming communities. Learn a little bit about the history. It's going to be awesome. Let's go ahead and begin. Okay, so to start things off, let's talk a little bit about this Ketchup Town store. The store was built in 1927 by a local farmer named Mr. Small. He bought about an acre of land here at this crossroads and opened a general store selling food and groceries, clothing, hardware, and ice. At the time the store was built, the area was very rural, no paved roads, and travel was mostly by horse and wagon. The store quickly became essential for local farmers. So the store wasn't just for shopping, it was a social center of the entire area. Farmers would gather here regularly to talk, trade news, and socialize. A nearby oak tree served as a place to tie up horses and mules, even functioned as a post office and meeting place. So I guess it's very fitting, since you have this old area that's known as Ketchup Town, to actually have a bottle of ketchup and ketchup packets right here on the front steps that lead up to the door of the store. And I guess people come by and will actually get the ketchup bottle and take some selfies in front of the store, you know, because it is called Ketchup Town. But I was reading online about the store itself and why they call it Ketchup Town, and it really has nothing to do with the condiment ketchup. So Ketchup Town really has nothing to do with the condiment ketchup. It has more to do with back in the old days, this being a little general store, this is where locals would come and catch up. C-A-T-C-H-U-P. They would catch up on local happenings and news here in the area. So that is really how the town got its name and how it all kind of started. So all that being said, that's going to wrap it up for here. We're going to make our way up the road a piece to a little town called Nichols. And we're going to check that little town out. And I got one more to go see after that called Lakeview. Good to have you here, by the way. Let's go ahead and head in those directions. Welcome to Nichols, South Carolina, folks. I made it. We're actually going to start our little tour out here in a place called Nichols Flag Park. And Nichols was officially incorporated to a town on June 24th, 1896. Okay, and so right here is the old Nichols Town Hall and Fire Department. And I got to be really honest with you, I don't think this is probably functioning anymore. This looks very abandoned to me. It has a lot of weirdness going on out front here. Don't look like the shrubs have been cut in quite some time. They're actually growing up over the windows. You can see like some ivy and stuff growing up along the front door here to go inside. And it also says police department. So this place kind of did everything. The town, which a lot of little small towns, you know, the town hall shares the duties of the police department also. But very, very interesting. So just to give you a little population report, is about 234 souls live here in Nichols, South Carolina. Median age is 51.2. That's pretty old for a town. Okay, I walked around the side of the old fire department here, and look at this old engine number 3 right here. That is a relic. Old Chevrolet, look at that. Chevrolet fire engine. Looks to be in pretty good shape too. Not bad at all. I have a friend of mine who was a fireman, and he likes old relics like this, so this is just as much for him as anybody else. Hope he enjoys it. So it is definitely safe to say this town is going through a lot of change right now. You can see where this used to be storefronts right here in front of us. That's been removed in the last few years. And it was probably very similar to these old stores. It's still here, but very abandoned. So speaking of these old stores, let's talk a little bit about the history, because it all starts and it dates back into the 1800s, the mid 1800s. Originally, this town was not called Nichols. It was called Floydsville. So the land belonged to a man by the name of Harman Floyd. And after his death, this area was actually divided up into town lots. Its location along the Wilmington and Manchester Railroad helped the town develop like many small southern towns. The first local industry was turpentine here in this area, harvested from pine forest. The industry declined fairly quickly and was replaced by tobacco farming, which became the town's economic backbone. So the town was eventually renamed Nichols after a man by the name of Everett B. Nichols. He was a businessman. He actually built a local warehouse here and a store that helped and supported the growing of tobacco trade and helped the town expand. By the early 1900s, Nichols was a typical small farming and railroad town. Local businesses and stores and churches formed and made kind of the center of everyday life here. After World War II, a furniture business showed up called Pilloid of Carolina and became a major employer here in this little small town. From what I've seen so far, everything is pretty much abandoned here and boarded up. And look at this old store. This old sign right up here. It says PD, Auction and Realty Company. What an odd combination. They do auctions and they do real estate. I've noticed these street signs. How awesome is that? I mean, that's like metal. You don't see that like fancy decor in a lot of little small towns. That is pretty awesome. And this is an amazing mural. It's got the train here. Kind of shows what they did in the early days. There's your church. Kind of shows you what life was like here. That's a big mural. It goes all the way down the side of this building. Maybe if I can just back up a little bit, we can get an idea. And you can see right over here, they got the little PD River right there and got a fire tower, little base for some planes. There's the lumber river. Two rivers right here in town, which would definitely cause quite havoc in 2016. And I'm going to tell you about that now. So one of the most defining moments here in the town's history happened in 2016. Flooding from the Lumber River devastated the town during Hurricane Matthew. Nearly every home and business flooded. Water set for days. Months later, most homes were still empty. Many businesses and churches were closed. Despite that, the town became known for its strong community and response and even their rebuilding efforts. So now let's take a moment and let's look at some demographics. So 54.39% is white, 44.74% is black, and 0.88% is mixed race. So next up, let's take a look at the income index. Income per capita here in Nichols is $27,979, which is below the South Carolina's average of $37,827. The median household income here is $47,743, which is also quite a bit below the South Carolina's $68,647. Then as we scroll down a bit, let's look at the poverty rate here in the town, 22.8%. And that is kind of high, but not terrible. South Carolina actually has a 17.2%, and the national average is 15.1%. And then we're going to look at crime. Crime rate here is 2,991 per 100K, or you can look at it as 2.9 per 1,000 people will actually experience a crime here in town. That is definitely higher than the South Carolina and the national average, so that would be something to definitely look at if you come here. When we look at that in percentages, total crime is 41% higher than the national average, and the violent crime here is 51% higher than the national average, and property crime is 39% higher than the national average. Okay, so we're going to walk down South Main Street now and take a look at some of these storefronts, because there's one particularly thing I want to see down here that really jumped out at me. And then we're going to vacate this town and move on to our next stop. Yeah, this is fascinating right down here. Wait till you see it. Okay, so there's one thing I want to point out real quick. I'm standing here in front of the gas company, the main offices it says, and notice the sidewalk here. It is brand new. I mean, this is like construction work. It was probably done just here recently. Maybe they're trying to do some updates here in town. And then on this side over here, something used to be over here and they have removed it. And I bet they're about to do new sidewalks over there on that side of South Main Street also. But now, this is what I want to show you. Check this out. Right here in the open air outside. Look at this old like taxidermy duck. What the heck? I ain't ever seen that. Now, I've seen plenty of taxidermies. I mean, I grew up in a family that done a lot of hunting, duck hunting, deer. Speaking of deer, right down here's another one. Maybe there used to be one here and they removed it, but right here's another one. This is outdoors though. You normally see stuff like this indoors in somebody's, you know, main living room over a fireplace or something. But here in the town of Nichols, I have a buck head right here. That is so bizarre. And I just had to show you this, especially the duck. The duck I found very amusing, you know. I just thought that was just wild. And he's pretty crusty looking too. Look at his wings. Just the dust just bounce off of him when you barely touch him. But yeah, that's pretty strange. Okay, all that being said, let's go ahead and had my fun with the taxidermy stuff, and let's go ahead and drive up the road a little bit further to our next town, which is a little community called Lakeview. Okay, I've made my way into the little town of Lakeview, and check out this old place. Carmichael Gas and Oil Company. We pump for the same low price, and they got fireworks. Look at this old place. Now, unfortunately, all the old gas pumps have been removed. Still have the old light bulbs up there in the fixture row. This is a real relic. Those service station doors right here. I love finding old places like this. This is so cool. Look at that, 2013. It's probably how long ago this place was in business. Lakeview High School varsity football schedule. Let's take a quick little peek inside. Ooh, it's looking rough inside there. Look at the ceiling. It is just falling apart. All right. All that being said, let's go ahead and make our way up into the main parts of town and see what else we can find about this town of Lakeview. Okay, so we're going to start our tour off right here. Look at this awesome mural right out of the gate. Is this not an awesome alligator mural here for Lakeview? And really, really cool. I'm going to walk around here to the front side. And this here is the town hall here and police department. So the population here in Lakeview is 743 souls with the median age of 45. And right here next to the town hall is the fire department. Look at that. Only got one little bay door right there. How wild is that? And the main police department is right next door. So as I walk up the street here, we look at some of the storefronts. Let's get into a little bit of the history. So the area that became Lakeview was originally farmland and pine forest in what is now Dillon County. It developed in the late 1800s as settlers moved into the region for farming. Like many towns nearby, its growth was tied to the expansion of railroads, which allowed crops to be shipped out. Before the railroad, this area was sparsely populated and largely isolated. Lakeview was officially formed in the early 1900s around the railroad stop. The town became a shipping point for local farmers, especially those growing tobacco and other crops. It was incorporated in 1913. Railroads connected Lakeview to larger markets, helping grow into a small but important agricultural hub. The town's economy was historically based on tobacco, which was its biggest crop, cotton, corn, and other staples. Warehouses, markets, and small businesses developed to support farmers. For decades, Lakeview revolved around tobacco auctions, which brought people from across the region. So the early and mid 1900s was when Lakeview was really thriving at its best, and it was a very tight-knit rural community. The decline in tobacco farming, especially after the federal changes in the late 1900s, hurt the local economy a lot. Improved highways made it easier for people to shop and work in larger towns. Population gradually declined as younger generations moved away. Man, I tell you, this part of the town right here is very abandoned and desolate. And look at that little Charlie Brown Peanuts Christmas tree. A little cedar tree up there growing on the top of that building. How cool is that? All right, I think we're going to go ahead and walk over here. I want to go check out this old furniture company store right around the corner. All right, so I walked over here to check out some of these old storefronts. This old discount furniture store. Very interesting. Something else I didn't know until just now about the town of Lakeview. It shares a similar beginning as the last town, Nichols, that we just visited. This was not always called Lakeview. This area began as a place called Ford's Mill in 1792, and it was built around a dam and a grist mill and a cotton gin. The original dam actually helped create a mill pond there that gave the town its later identity, Lakeview. Pretty awesome. This is an awesome looking store. Look at all the furniture. Painted sign right up there. Townsend's Furniture Company. Yeah, that's pretty cool. We will definitely have to go check out that Ford's Mill area, that old mill pond. It's not too far from here. I just looked it up. We'll definitely go check that out. That's going to be pretty cool. And to give you just a little bit more information about what year they changed it from Ford's Mill to the town of Lakeview, it all took place in 1916. So next up, let's look at some demographics. 76.05% is white, 22.55% is black, and 1.4% is American Indian. Then we would look at the income index. Income per capita here in Lakeview is $26,295, well below South Carolina's $37,827. And then the median household income is $37,158, which is well below the South Carolina's average of $68,647. And then when we look down at the bottom, we look at poverty level, 32.4%. That's a pretty high number. That is very, very high. Look at the South Carolina's 17.2. That is a huge swing, very big difference. And then we look at crime. Crime here in Lakeview is 1,715 per 100K, or an easier way to look at that is 1.7 per 1,000 people, which is, you know, quite a bit lower than the South Carolina and the national average. So that's definitely a positive. When we look at that in percentages here in Lakeview, total crime is 19% below the national average. Violent crime is 63% below the national average. And property crime is 10% below the national average. They still have quite an array of old buildings and structures here in the town of Lakeview. Look at this old place. They have actually removed the windows, the doors from this location. They really have gutted this spot. Not going to walk in, but I will walk up here and just kind of take a little peek. Look at all the woodwork. They've replaced some beams up here in the ceiling. Yeah, they're about to do something to this place for sure. It's pretty. It's very spacious too. That is large. All right, let's continue on, look at some more storefronts. So there's one thing that always jumps out when I go to small towns in South Carolina, more so than other states I go to. It doesn't matter what the town looks like, how desolate it may be, you can just about always find a China King or some kind of Chinese restaurant open for business. Okay, so right here in front of China King, here's some signs that says First Avenue and North Kemper Street. And we're going to walk down First Avenue now. And I want to show you this little section of town. Look how desolate this is. There is not one car parked. We got some stores. We're going to find out if they're open. But nothing really seems to be boarded up, really, even though that in there has a very big lock mechanism on it. This looks like maybe some kind of an exercise. I see some exercise equipment. Here we got some bicycles. I don't know if they're selling them or was this actually some type of place. Yeah, it's a fitness center of some type, it looks like. But yeah, no movement. And the only movement I seen out there on the main drag that we walked through in the beginning was, it is Highway 9. So a lot of beach traffic, I would imagine, coming from Myrtle Beach, you know, drives right up through this town. But yeah, these places here, that and there has got some lights on it. It could be still in business. That one there, yeah, definitely not. Look at all that stuff, tires, all kinds of pallets right there in the front. Not a lot going on here on this street at all. And that there is just like a storage place for pallets and all kinds of stuff. They're not really a business at all. This place here is padlocked up. And it's another storage location, it looks. As you can see in there, got some Christmas garland. All right. Yeah, hunting and fishing, license and supplies here. I would say fishing's pretty popular because of that meal pond that we talked about a few minutes ago. Look, they even sell some live bait here. So this is definitely a place that's still open for business, just not at the moment. It's actually closed today on Sunday. Okay, I made my way down the street just a piece, and this is called Lions Park. And this here is sponsored by Lions Club here in Lakeview. It says welcome. And I think this is beautiful. I mean, look at this area. I want to show you something. Look at the little benches and like little stone picnic tables we have over here. And I'm definitely going to be careful walking through here because places like this possibly could have gators in the water. You know, I learned that from being around Wilmington. We got a place there called Greenfield Lake. Yeah, gator heaven. But look at this place. Is that not awesome? Man, that is a fisher's paradise right there. Give me a fishing rod. Oh my goodness, a John boat, something. I would have a good time out there. That is so pretty. Oh, I'm learning all kinds of stuff out here. Look, the name of this meal pond is Page's Meal. So earlier, I stated before this was called Lakeview, it was called Ford's Mill way back in 1792. And it was built, you know, because there was a dam here and it actually had a grist mill and a cotton gin and all that good stuff. But originally, Ford's Mill was renamed to Page's Mill in 1870 after a local store owner. And finally it became Lakeview in 1916 after the residents voted for the change. And look at that daggone geese right there. Is that a really big geese or is that a duck? I don't know. I kind of want to walk down through there, whatever he or she is, but I don't know. I might have to walk roadside. I've had some bad incidents with ducks Not really ducks so much, but geese. And with it sitting there like that, I really can't tell what that is. I don't know. Hello, little buddy. I don't really know what you are, but I don't think you're either. No, you're something else. Your beak don't look right. I know people in the comments are going to be kind enough to let me know what kind of creature that is. But he's just hanging out there, and I think I'm just going to let him be. We're going to find another way to pass by, just to be safe. All right, so I decided to bypass the pathway that took me in front of that crazy looking bird. And I'm glad I did, because look at this, how pretty this is. That is beautiful. Little waterfall right there cascading over. Some people stopped in there, we'll do a little fishing. Yeah, man, this is awesome. I'm glad I did bypass that bird now. See there, it was meant to be. If I wouldn't have bypassed that bird, I would have walked down through there and I wouldn't have got this great shot. Sometimes things just work out for the best, I believe. I gotta say, this is awesome. All the cypress. This is really, really cool. It's almost like being in, like somewhere around Charleston, South Carolina. It's the kind of vibes I get. Anytime I see cypress, I always think of that. Even though we got cypress in Wilmington, but that's how I kind of feel. Anywho, let's go over here and check out this old structure and see what this is. I wonder if this is the old meal house, maybe. Check this out. I made my way over here to the old meal. Look at there, just like I read online, 1870, Page's Mill Pond. Natural beauty and wildlife here. This is something to see right here. This is absolutely beautiful. Oh man, what is this? We got to go check this out. Okay, so I made my way over here to check out what kind of contraption this is, and supposedly online it says this is an old industrial water pump impeller assembly. Heavy cast iron construction and vertical shaft suggest it came from a stationary pump, not something mobile, being beside a lake or swamp with cypress trees, which, looky there, that is definitely here. And it was obviously used for something like drainage, irrigation, or possibly a small waterworks system. So I would imagine that's pretty much says it was a part of the old mill that sat here at one time, which makes sense, but I had to look it up and know what the heck I was looking at. I had a feeling it was some kind of a pump mechanism, but just wanted to make sure, and as long as the interwebs steered me right, that's what that is right there. I gotta say, this is probably one of the most beautiful locations I've been to here on the back roads of South Carolina. I absolutely love this. We'll kind of walk down along the old mill here. Man, this is gorgeous. I mean, just look out through there. That is lake view beautifulness. This is nice. I want to come over here and get a different view of this waterfall that I showed you a few minutes ago. And there was a guy, he just pulled in right off the road here, and he was over there fishing a few minutes ago. This is a hotbed for fishermen, and I can't say I blame them. Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, he moved over there. He's beneath the bridge now. I don't know if you guys can see him. He's got blue on. He said he was ready to do some fishing today. It's too pretty to be inside. And I'm like, I don't blame you, man. You got to get out and enjoy some of this weather. And I'm actually liking walking down this little pathway that I wanted to walk down earlier, but I got deterred by a duck or a goose or something. I really wasn't sure what that animal was, but he just reminded me. He just looked kind of like something that got after me years and years ago when I was a kid, and I've never been the same since when it comes to a goose or something, especially when they could be laying on some eggs. You just never know. But it's an absolutely beautiful location. And just check out that view one more time as we wrap it up today. That is beautiful. So I guess that is going to wrap up our vlog here from Lakeview. This was great, man. This is so much fun today. Had a great time. I hope you guys enjoyed the vlog and got to visit some new towns today. Love coming to South Carolina, seeing what I can see. It's always fun, always a good time. So all that being said, my friends, I am done today. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, I'm the Hitchhiking Yeti, and I will see you in my next adventure. Y'all stay safe, and I hope to see you all again soon. I'm sure I will. I'm sure I will. We have a lot of fun here. Let the good times roll as summertime keeps creeping ever so much closer. This gets me pumped because look how green everything is. I'm not really a big fan of pollen, but once the pollen leaves, I just love the greenery. I love it. The warm weather, it just fits everything I like to do. All right, so long from Lakeview. Had a great time today. Y'all have a blessed one. See you on the flip-flop. I like saying that. It's just fun.